So today I just want to talk a little bit about my company called Embrace. We make a low-cost infant incubator. We've been doing this for about the last 3 years. And just talk a little bit about the design challenges and observations we made along the way. So before I start, I'm going to play a short video. It describes the company probably way better than I could, so I hope this works.
As I watch my child sleep, I feel a sense of inner peace. I will do everything to protect him, and I want to always be there to give him unconditional love.
Every day, he teaches me something new, and together, we share many special moments.
But the day my child was born, the only thing I wanted was to help her live.
One of the biggest problems these babies face is staying warm. This is the primary function of an incubator, but traditional incubators cost thousands of dollars and require a constant supply of electricity. As a result, parents in rural areas resort to desperate measures to care for their babies, including tying hot water bottles around the babies, placing them under light bulbs, or holding them over hot coals. The Embrace infant warmer is a simple solution to this problem. Embrace consists of 3 parts: a sleeping bag, a heater, and a pouch of phase change material. Once heated, the phase change material is placed into a compartment in the sleeping bag and can maintain a constant temperature of 37 degrees Celsius or 98 degrees Fahrenheit over the next 4 to 6 hours. The product stays warm without electricity. It is safe and intuitive to use, easy to clean, portable, and allows close mother-to-child interaction. Embrace's mission is to give every infant a chance for a healthy life. Every child deserves the opportunity to live, to grow, to dream. Please support us.
So that's just a quick sort of summary on the mission of the company. So we came together actually to develop, to form a company to actually develop a company that specializes in making affordable, high quality, low cost medical devices for developing countries. And that was sort of our mission. Our first product is this infant warmer, and hopefully by developing this and getting it out to market, we can actually give all infants equal chance to a healthy lifestyle. So just some background about me. I am a computer scientist, but I did focus in design. And I came together and met my other co-founders in a class at Stanford University where they bring together all the different sort of disciplines at Stanford. So the 7 schools, the law school, the business school, the medical school, the engineering school, all the different schools at Stanford came together. And you form groups, and you come together in this class where they teach you design, but they also try to say, all right, now that you're taught the principles of design, how can you think innovatively and try to solve world social problems? So I'm a computer scientist. My other 2 co-founders are engineers, and we have 1 business school student. And since that class, we decided afterwards to form a company. We've since grown to about 60 people now. But we couldn't do it without our board of advisors. We have some famous neonatologists from the medical school, product designers, venture capitalists. The president of Stanford is our advisor as well. And since then, we've got a lot of international recognition. We've been in Time, CNN, things like that. So we've come a long way. But let's talk a little bit about the realities of the situation, right? So backing up a bit, as you saw in the video, there's 20 million low birth weight and premature babies that are born every single year. 4 million of those die, and the main cause is hypothermia and complications from that. In addition, the 16 million that do survive, a lot of them grow up with lifelong health problems. So how can you think innovatively to solve this problem? And this is a big challenge. It hasn't been really solved for long periods of time. This is why it's one of the UN Millennium Development Goals. So when we came together in class, we decided to see how we can think about this differently, right? And the first thing they teach you in design class is observation, understanding the problem, sort of clearing your slate and really try to figure out what is the core issues. So I went to Nepal. That's where I did my first real field study. I went to all the hospitals. I talked to all the doctors. I remember when I flew into Kathmandu, the first day, I was jet lagged, I was very tired, but we immediately went to the hospitals and talked to these doctors. And what I saw actually was interesting, that there were a lot of incubators there. But they weren't the newest ones, some didn't work, but there were still equipment. So I asked the doctor, I asked him, why is Nepal, why does it have such a high infant mortality rate if there's equipment out there? And he said, look carefully at the incubator. So I looked at it carefully, and I was still confused. And he said, if you notice, there are no babies in them. And that was shocking to me, and that's sort of something that sort of, was a aha moment where I realized that most of the births occur in developing countries, they occur in the rural areas, and that's where we kind of had to design. So that was our user, right? It wasn't for the people that can go to these city hospitals, but it was people in the villages, in these rural areas. So that's the first thing I learned. The second thing I learned is I immediately went out to these rural areas, and I talked to these mothers, and I talked to some of the nurses out there, midwives. And a lot of these babies aren't the premature babies that we see in this picture here, but they're mainly a couple weeks premature. And they get that way because of lack of proper health care, nutrition. There's all these other issues, but they're actually not that premature. And they just need a couple more weeks sort of to stabilize, and then they become very healthy. So how can you design something using those considerations? So we also looked at traditional solutions. So on the very high end, you have these expensive $20,000 incubators, these fancy glass boxes with all these features. On the very low end, you have these very sort of unsafe solutions where it's just simply a light bulb. I visited a lot of these rural clinics, and a lot of times these light bulbs either don't work, or because of the power fluctuations, they actually explode. And so they're very, very safe and unsafe and very harmful to the baby. So how do you design for that? And what we realized is that upon doing research, talking to our medical advisory board, we realized that if you can provide babies constant temperature, they tend to do well, because temperature fluctuations is very, very harmful for a baby. For us, when we get too cold, we can shiver, we can warm up. If we get too hot, we can sweat. But if you're born premature or a low birth weight, what happens is you don't have the systems to develop that temperature regulation. So if you can provide that temperature regulation in the first few weeks of life before, and they start to stabilize, they can actually grow up healthy. So designing for all these different constraints, taking this in, we came up with our solution. So what we came out with was a very simple solution. Since we're trying to design for the rural area, and since we're only trying to design for temperature stabilization, we came out with this Embrace device. And there are a couple of considerations that we wanted to make sure that this device incorporated. So one thing was to work without consistent electricity. So I live in Bangalore, actually, and it's a major city. But even living in this major city, the power goes out for a couple hours a day. And in the rural areas, it sometimes doesn't come on for days. So designing something that didn't require constant electricity, or even no electricity at all. No moving parts. So we wanted to design something that could be very reliable, but didn't really need serviceability. Like I said, we've seen a lot of these sort of light bulb incubators in the field, and some of them, they haven't got to replace my light bulb in years. So it's just that sort of distribution channels are very, very hard in these rural areas. We wanted to make it portable, so in case they wanted to go to a city or they wanted to transport the baby, we wanted to make sure that it was very easy to transport. Safe and intuitive use. We talked to a lot of nurses, and they're unfortunately in the rural areas they're not very educated. So we wanted to make something very, very easy for them to understand and to use. Clean. We wanted to make sure that it was easy to clean, it was easy to reuse, it was it would drive down the cost if it could be reusable. And finally, allowing very close mother-to-child interaction. This was actually very, very important after talking to our doctors again, that if you keep that mother and child interaction, it's actually very, very helpful to the baby. So I'm going to explain a little bit about the device. So how it works is very simple. So we developed this, it's called a phase change material, you saw in the video. It's basically a pouch with this wax-like material. And then there's a sort of a water bath on top. And what you do is you heat this up using we have an electric heater, but we have one that doesn't require electricity, that uses just boiling water. And it melts. And when it melts, it turns into this liquid that has a special property of staying warm for 4 hours at a time. And The thing is that it's a constant temperature. So for example, if you had a glass of water and you put it on the table, it would cool down over time. This will stay at 37 degrees, which is body temperature, for 4 hours at a time, giving the baby that stable environment that they need. And so that's very crucial. Then you put the pouch in the back of the sleeping bag. It's very simple to insulate not only the baby but also the pouch, and then you put the baby inside. So it's a very, very simple device, but it provides the majority of the cases what a baby needs. And by doing this, you can drive down the cost from a $20,000 incubator to 1% of that. So the next thing is this idea of rapid iteration. So once we developed the concept, we moved immediately to Bangalore, to India, where unfortunately the largest cases of low birth weight and premature babies occur. And this is so we can be close to our users, to really understand them, to really get that feedback that we needed. So I've been living there for the last 3 years. This is sort of a picture of the evolution of the sleeping bag itself. There's actually a lot more pictures, but for the sake of space, I just showed a couple of them. But yeah, getting that immediate feedback, going out to the field, getting users tell you what they like, what they don't like, because it's very important for us to make a product that not only that's safe and intuitive to use, but something that actually is something that they really want to use. Just going forward a little bit about the progress. So doing this, it has taken a long time, mainly due to the regulation, clinical trials, but I'm happy to report that we've successfully passed all of them, and it's actually a certified medical device that is effective and is very safe. We won a couple design awards, and we've actually now are scaling the product, and we've helped over a couple hundred babies so far, and we're working in 3 different countries right now. So India, we just put our first baby in China, and then in Somalia. So I just kind of want to show some pictures over the field. This is actually our first unit that was ever used in a hospital, and that was our first baby. It took a while, and we just released in April. But since then, we've grown. We're in government hospitals. This was actually the first twins that were using it. We unfortunately only brought 1 unit, so they had to switch off. And this is actually where we wanted to go. This is a local, very, very small village, but a very, very local sort of rural hospital and clinic where it's actually being used. And it was actually a very proud moment for us because we designed this for this user, and they were using it and they loved the product. So in this case, for example, the mother gave birth. She lost her first child, and this was her second child, so she saved up a lot of money actually to bring the child to a clinic. Most of them occur at home. But because she lost her first child, she wanted to make sure that it was delivered in a clinic. It was delivered, but again, the baby was premature and had some complications. So she spent all her money. It was 250 rupees a day, which is about $5 US. And they put her in the intensive care unit, but after 3 or 4 days, she started running out of money. And so what Embrace allowed her to do was to go into the maternity ward, where it was actually cheaper to afford care, and she could be very close to her baby. And so we're very happy to report that the baby is healthy. We followed up, and it's doing very well. So this is our smallest baby. We put in, that's 800 grams. You can see it, 850 grams, but it's doing very, very well. But as you can see, it's been slowly rolling out, and we're hopefully trying to get more out. So just our goals for this coming year. Now that we've rolled out, we plan to try to impact 100,000 lives, release our second version, and sort of develop some of the educational programs, because our device is a point solution, but it doesn't actually. There's other things you can do to help solve this big major problem of infant mortality, and education, proper nutrition, these type of things really help solve the problem. So these are some of the partners we're working with. We couldn't do it without our fabulous partners, and these partners have allowed us to really get out to the field and impact the lives that are really needed, or who this product really addresses. So this is pictures from our work in Somalia. You can see actually on the top right or top left that the mother is actually breastfeeding the baby, again allowing that close mother-to-child interaction. So one thing we want to do is go worldwide. These are some of the stories we're getting all over the world, and just to show the need and demand for the product. One short plug before I quit. Basically, we are a nonprofit, so there's a couple ways you can help. Volunteer, if you can introduce us to people that you think might help, and obviously give is always a good thing. So thank you for your time.